What I want to talk to you about today is how Curve has worked with hundreds of small businesses and medium-sized businesses over the last 23 years to help them achieve success. We've come up with basically a proven process of success for our clients, and it's kind of like what we call a local celebrity system, where we work with our clients, and generally there's usually better if there's an individual, a face of the company, who tells the story of the company and what they can do for their customers or their clients. And this process is pretty much foolproof. It works every time, but you have to follow each step that I'm going to outline right now. And there are a lot of them, but if you follow each one of these steps over, let's say, a year period, you should see great success for your business or nonprofit, frankly, in a local community. This process is especially effective for service-based businesses. So we work with construction companies, home construction companies, commercial construction companies. It works for medical clinics, med spas. It works really well for painting companies, home services companies. It works really well for any kind of business where there's a lot of customer interaction and where you need to build trust with the customers, where they want to believe that you are going to provide the service or the product to the highest level, and that the trust is generally with the individual who's the head of the company. The first thing that we do with all of our clients when we first get them on board is a brand and reputation tune-up. We look at their website, we look at all of their marketing materials, we look at their Google business profile. Anything that's related to how the company's represented publicly is something that we look at, and we tune it up. We make sure it's properly optimized, the content's written properly, the messaging's there. Get all of that really clear out of the gate, because without that clarity, you'll have a real challenge moving on to the next steps. The next thing we do is we build a localized, highly optimized landing page, or at least make sure that your website is highly optimized for search and for the customers that you're trying to get. This is sometimes something that people and businesses overlook. You go to their website, or you go there, the people can't figure out what you're selling, or they've searched terms in Google, or they go there and they're, well, this isn't what I'm looking for. So it's important that when you drive people somewhere, whether it's through your advertising or your public relations or whatever it might be, that when they land there, they go, this is for me. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So we make sure that stuff is built and ready to go. Okay, now it's time to do a Google search campaign. Now, what does that mean? Well, in a way, there's a certain amount of free stuff you'll get through Google search. People will find you if you've done the first couple things properly, you've got your proper SEO, search terms, all that kind of stuff. You'll get some organic traffic, but you need to spend some money. And so my recommendation quite often with our clients out of the gate is put some money in Google search. Make sure you're ranking at the top. So when the people who are looking for specifically what you're offering, what your service is, you type in those words, they'll find your company at the top. They'll find you. If they don't find you, they don't buy from you. So really put an emphasis on that Google search right at the beginning. It doesn't cost a lot, depending on how big your market is, but it's a real priority. Google search is by far the most effective and highest converting tool that you can use in your toolbox. So do that first until everything else that I'm about to talk about is done. But while you're waiting for all the other things I'm about to get to, focus on that paid Google search, because it's really, really effective. Okay, now you need to weaponize your social channels. What does that mean? Well, part of it is about, great content, organic content that's provocative or interesting and highly valuable to your customers. So, content-rich content. So that's great. But you also need to spend some money on social media. It can be very effective. And if you have a business that has very clear offers, for example, if you're a medical clinic, which we work with a lot with, they have very clear offers, discounts, this kinds of thing. That works really, really well on social media, those kinds of offers. But it also works for brand builds. So getting your message out, having a brand, like literally an old school kind of display ad on social media, showing up in people's news feeds. This is not very expensive on a local level. very effective. So weaponize social media. Make sure your content's great, but also think about how you can do a paid campaign on social media, because Facebook and Instagram alone represent about 90% of your community is on those two channels. Now that we have all of your brand properly set up, and we've got everything kind of figured out at this early stage, the next thing we do is we create a signature piece of content. This is usually a video or an ebook or both. That's the most effective way to approach it. We usually have the CEO or the founder or the face of the company who we do a big interview with. It's going to happen on Zoom. It doesn't have to be in person. That's not anything fancy. But the focus of this is to build trust, to make the people who have come to your website or see your social media and they see this person and they go, I trust this person. This person's somebody I think could be, I would give my money to, or build my home or go to. But it also, coupled with this massive piece of content, you also then can take chunks of this content and turn it into multiple pieces of social media content. You can use it for sales content. You can use it for, when you're sending out emails. You can take this one signature piece of content and multiply it into 50 to 100 pieces of content. So it's a really effective way to do this. And you can do this several times in different ways. You can do it with different individuals of the company, but really it's creating that signature piece of content that then turns into multiple pieces of content. And really it's about building trust. Now that we've done the signature piece of content, and I talked about we could turn that into multiple pieces of small content, pieces, for social media, but also all that information that we have from there, we can turn it into, for example, a PowerPoint presentation that you can use at events. And now you can call up your chambers of commerce and say, hey, I have this presentation about X, Y, Z, like whatever it might be. And you can also do a version on Facebook, a live version, or you can do this, live Zoom calls for customers who want to talk to you, and you walk them through this presentation. So we take that signature piece of content and turn it into a slide deck that then you use to present what you have to offer. It gives, again, this is all about building trust for the owner of the business or the face of the business or the sales rep of the business. It's really about building that trust and giving them the tools to be able to use in multiple platforms and in live platforms like chambers of commerce or Rotary meetings or whatever it might be in your local community. Now that you've collected this signature piece of content and there's clarity in what you are offering and what your business positioning is, what you need to do next is push that information out to organizations and to media. You've already kind of doing it through your own social channels, but there's no reason why you shouldn't do some outreach. So for example, building a list of local journalists, local media people, radio, TV, whatever it might be. These are traditional media outlets, but they're highly effective for building your own personal brand and your business's brand, but also the nonprofits in your community. There are many, 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 depending on the size of your where you live. So you're going to build these lists so that you can do outreach to these organizations and to these individual reporters and journalists and producers to tell them your story. One of the most underestimated tools that's been around for the longest time is email. And so often we see our clients, when we start up with them, that they've neglected their lists. They haven't been sending out emails. It's really important to be consistent with your emails, once a month bare minimum. And these emails can't be salesy, they be content rich. So for example, construction companies we work with, we send out emails that are highly informational, for example, about how to build your home in your community, whether it be through the bureaucracy that you have to go through and how to deal with bureaucracy or zoning or things like that, so that when you receive this email as a customer or a client, you go, oh yeah, this is really informational. Oh yeah, I remember this company and I should use them when I need their service one day. And if you don't keep sending that information out, people will forget you. And so it's an important piece of a tool in that toolkit. One of the platforms that I get a lot of heat with my team here is Twitter, which I use a lot for myself. But if you're focused on this sort of local celebrity concept that I'm talking about, then Twitter can be very effective, because people most people are just watching Twitter. They're just looking at it and they're looking at things. They're getting news from there. So if you put a few tweets in there and you're somewhat provocative, you'll get the attention, and not by being, completely crazy, but provocative about your industry. Say, for example, if you're a home builder and you see designs of things that you don't like or things that bug you, you can become a kind of a celebrity and become, if you're a little bit edgy on Twitter, and people start talking about you. And guess what? Reporters and producers, they're looking on there, they're all on there. And again, it's this local celebrity kind of status, and it's actually a really effective tool that's underrated, especially at a local level. Depending on what you are as a business, a really effective tool is private Facebook groups. This is where you have to sign up to join these groups. They're effective for you to create, to talk about the industry that you might be in or the specific category you are in, but they're also great for outreach. And you go to these groups, depending on what you're offering, to reach into groups and talk to people and raise your profile. People will start to see you as this kind of local celebrity, this person. Oh, I saw him there, I saw him there, now he's here. It's about building your authority in that industry. And as you build your authority and your brand and your celebrity status, people start talking about you, and people will, when they want what you sell, the first person they'll think about, the first company they'll think about will likely be yours. And so use Facebook groups not only as outreach, but build your own and have your own community that you can have conversations with. So for example, again, construction companies who we work with, there's no reason why you couldn't have a private Facebook group for people who have questions and want to know more about what they should do. They can talk to each other, they talk about design, they can talk about all sorts of things in a private, safe environment where they feel like they can get the answers they need. I want to tell you about a $1 a day system. It's quite effective. It's kind of connected to the social, weaponizing your social, but it's really important part of building your personal brand. By creating content, video content especially, 1-minute videos, you can actually inject a significant amount of influence on that content into the audience by simply spending $1 a day per post. A general post that you put on your social media will reach, for example, the people who follow you, about 1% of them. But if you add a couple of dollars a day or $1 a day to each of your posts or a few of your posts, you'll reach not only every single one of your followers, but if you choose it properly, and it's really simple to do, you can reach a whole bunch of people, thousands of people in your community. So it's a great way to build your personal brand and build that local celebrity brand by just pushing that content out that might be just you talking to camera about something that's really important to you, about your business or about what you offer to your customers. Another tool or tools that's really effective that kind of have been pushed aside over the last several years because of digital marketing is direct mail, which is sending a content piece in the mail. Door hangers, which are things you hang on people's doors. So for example, we have a painting company. When they finish a project, they go around in the 2-block radius and they put door hangers on everybody's doors if it's a residential neighborhood. And signage at the site when you're doing your work, if you're that kind of company, is a great tool to use. Obviously, if you're a lawyer, it's not something you would use. But for companies that are doing something that's visible, it's a very effective tool. But we have clients in med spas that one client where she goes out once a month with her husband, they own the business together, and they walk out and they drop off mailers in the mailboxes in the residential neighborhood around themselves, while at the same time they run into people, start talking to them, hey, what are you doing? And then they knock on the door. It's very, very grassroots, but very effective. One of the key parts of this whole process is tracking your success, whether it's what we call the ROI tracker, your return on your investment. So if you're spending money and whether it be through advertising or printing or whatever it might be, you want to make sure you're tracking every dollar you spend. Or if it's just what key performance indicators, what does success look like? What is the value? What is the success? Is it, so for example, a home construction company we have, they want to go from, this many projects to this many projects by the end of the year, a very clear goal that they have, and it's our job to get them there. It could be, the number of jobs you have. How do you track your return on your investment in your marketing? It's really important to track it in real time. Figure out what the lifetime value or the one-time value of your customers are, and make sure you track every penny and say, okay, well, I spent $1,000 and I made $5,000. Track your ROI. Final step is rinse, repeat, iterate. What I mean by that is really, it takes about a year to get through this whole process that I described here. Generally, it's about 13, 14 steps, and each one of them works off each other and builds on each one of them. But by the end of them, you need to go, okay, I've got them all, they're all sort of operating at the same time. At the end of the year, or when you finish this cycle, you take a look, you're tracking your ROI, but you need to go, okay, I need to build more, I need to do something else now. Usually that's a signature piece of content. Obviously your social should be changing. You need to look at what's working, what's not working, do more of what's working, and obviously less of what's not working. And so rinse, repeat, iterate, and that's it, and you'll see great success.